doom. Dirty Moors still attempt to infiltrate the order. Active Moors are truth and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on dirty Moors like broken down waters. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to their heads with the doctor's cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues, contradicting with King Alfred to give clues like news. Noble Drew Ali died from Palemore blues. Prophet saved him his money before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, selling memory tells me don't fall for spook. Drop mental nukes, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree, looking up at them like Big B. No white flag or mercy for you fags. 5 point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That dirty Moors took to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books, getting offers like high school ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers, robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. Me nah play with uno so simmer and easy. From 19 how long me see it's sleazy. So sick it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Drew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect him and have his back. Behind on dues by 4 months. Going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples. Lawsuits from inner fights. Not doing their job. 3,500 for birthright. Mufti Force left supposed to be in Gucci stores with God. Thank Allah for the Sufi Moors and Buddhist Nagas. Moorish Mike Renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer. Empty battle scar wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways. Rap conduct squarer. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death repairer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin, going crazy, waving gas. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kick me sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MCs flow so dull that I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps to torture the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Pac will, but beat the case like Black Bill, but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liar, liar, do nothing for you while they get rich and poor you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke to snort from wood corners and blocks ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repedo, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not Bay but L like Gred and Hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands, with birthright brands. I don't worry about getting scanned. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. The noble Drew Ali started dropping it. What up?
Peace and love, family. MHHS, eyes wide open, sons of Allah. I am Mizraim Alefel, in conjunction with my co-host, Brother Cujo, Grand Sheik. Are you with us?
I'm here, Moor Islam.
All right, true indeed. That's what's going on, man. Definitely glad to be back again. There's a few things to discuss. I know we briefly were talking earlier about unity, the word unity, and it's just so many aspects that fits in that, you know. it being bigger than just, being at the same place, same time type of thing, like the far-reaching effects of disunity. From where we stand in this particular times, there's a lot going on. Thinking of that word, I thought about the uniting of Asia. So the theme of the class is unity, right? So when I was thinking about the uniting of Asia, I'm like, there's so much to unite on that principle, nationality, customs, character, etc. And you actually brought this out to me earlier real quick, about the teacher who banned, any symbols of Santa Claus. They wasn't calling it a holiday celebration as far as Thanksgiving and Christmas. They was calling it harvest, things of that nature. Now, this is taking place on American soil, but by what looks like a modern Asiatic. So, of course, I think, did they fire her or suspend her? I'm not sure. But what it made me think of, what her intentions may have been, was that, in that aspect, it's the reason why, Asiatics of North America of Moorish descent, definitely we need our own schools, right? Because she's sitting there, and I'm pretty sure she had a reason for it, saying that, we're not going to celebrate Santa and, anything with an emblem or whatnot, It was just interesting to me in that particular fashion. But the instance of this unity of, we don't feel what you're saying, so we're going to fire you or, punish you for that type of thing. Like, that was the disunity of what she was probably getting at. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but there's a lot of people who can relate to that principle alone in unity. Just so happens those who she was working for couldn't. Another situation, just wanted to report before we really go in on this subject. It was a Moorish teacher. I think it was Wheaton University. Don't quote me. It's somewhere in what they call Illinois today, North America. So-called anyway. So-called, I emphasize. Where the teacher got suspended for a semester because she had went in a classroom setting and said that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. Christians and Muslims worship the same God. And this caused her to be suspended to the end of the semester. Now, this is a highly copper complexion Asiatic teacher, made a logical statement. It's just, I think, and I could be wrong, that, no, I'm not wrong, but when we teach in those institutions, it's regulated because they have a certain curriculum that always causes a diversity in the aspect. Some sort of aspect, it causes diversity or disunity. Though she was speaking on the lines of unity, like saying that, quote, Christians and Muslims worship the same God or same energy, if any, that was a statement of unity. But she definitely got scorned for that and suspended, and it just reminded me again why we definitely need our institutions of learning. Now, granted, I say this in correlation with the time it is right now, so-called Christmas, so-called New Year's coming up, that there's some people who claim to be Christians that don't worship, the universal energy. They're idolaters, and you could say that about others as well. Example, they say Yahshua was the, quote, Son of God, but they worship him, you know what I mean? And he said, don't worship me. I'm just your brother, man, coming to show the way, right? So in the aspect, some people who claim to be Christians don't worship the universal energy. It's idolatry. To me, that particular concept, when you were speaking about unity, that was one that couldn't be left at the door for me, because I had a friend, like I was speaking to you earlier, I had a friend who called me up and said, Miz, you know, she has a sister, and her sister is thinking about converting to Islam. And she was like, I really wish y'all could talk, because she's saying that she don't want to, quote, celebrate Christmas now, right, which, again, this is causing a disunity. Now, I'm like, well, I could understand her position from, you know, maybe where her knowledge base is at. But how about if she knew the truth that, quote-unquote, Christmas is not a Christian holiday in origin, right? That's why it's important to know, you know, about the zodiac astrology, because this also can allow a middle ground between, you know, family members who may have diverse opinions. So when they say we celebrating Christmas, you're looking at the time, or you think solstice. Like, personally, for those who may have family who don't, you know, see eye to eye with where you're at with it, what you know or whatnot, you can find middle grounds to still have peace and harmony amongst them, knowing that you're not celebrating that, but you're celebrating the universal energy, which is really not Christian in origin. So when we was talking about unity, I was looking like, man, there's so many branches that can cause disunity from lack of knowledge, you know, strictly from lack of knowledge. There's a lot more aspects. I know you're going to go on, but for real. And I just wanted to add this one thing, you know, because when you talk about unity, you're talking about a unit or a whole. So, of course, just wanted to correlate this with law real quick. This is from Institutes of International Law in Time of Peace, page 30 through 31 by Richard Wildman. It says, the whole human race, says Dormant, forms a universal society divided into different nations, having intercourse with each other. And laws are necessary to regulate that intercourse, both for sovereigns and their subjects, which include the usage of embassies, negotiations, treaties of peace. All these matters are regulated by law, and as one nation cannot impose laws upon another, there are two kinds of laws that furnish rules for this purpose. One consists of natural laws of humanity, hospitality and fidelity, and the rules resulting therefrom, which determine how different nations should behave to each other in peace and in war. The other consists of rules agreed on by treaties which are reciprocally binding. So, in that aspect, looking at the first sentence saying the whole human race forms a universal society divided into different nations, you know, when you're talking about yourself or you know, your nationality, still have to recognize that, you know, we're connected to everybody really in the aspect of the Aboriginal indigenous people of the world. And that as far as unity goes, you know, the uniting of Asia, still have to consider our relationship to that. And all of our relationship considered in retrospect or in respect to the modern Europeans. Because real brief, we went in on Tuesday's show and we were saying how, you know, European nation cannot impose laws on another. A lot of people did get different customs shoved down their throat that weren't really a part of the ancient foremothers and forefathers' way. And I'm just bringing that back to a point of these times, you know, right now, that even something as a so-called holiday can cause disunity in the home. You know what I mean? If everybody is not on the same wave with the knowledge base. So when we speak of unity, there's so many different aspects of how we could unite. That's what I really wanted to say on that particular subject. And I'm going to yield the floor to you for now, Noble, to go in on the aspects you had as well.
Islam. Well, one thing we will constantly be doing as open-minded people is using other references as a template. And when we consider unity, we have to go outside of what we've been accustomed to in order to get the full effect or grasp of what it is. So, in relation to unity being tied to nature and natural law, we use on the lowest level. You know, like if we read Creation and Fall of Man chapter, start at the lowest level, right? All these cells in our body working together is some supreme unity. They don't care about anything but their job, right? You go to insect kingdom, right? Unity. You find a bunch of insects and guaranteed they're working in unity. There's not even no question. Right?
True.
Now, what is the fundamental thing that from cells to nations, the fundamental thing that keeps them unified is that consciousness of knowing that they belong to something, knowing that there's a purpose. So when we look at on a spiritual level, or let's say on an esoteric level, when we look at unity in the teachings of Brahmanism, unity is related to Brahman's consciousness. Mm-hmm. The concept for Hindu people of be united as Hindus is because all of them recognize the Brahman consciousness as what it is. They don't care what other people think about what it is. That's what it is. Right? Now, when we look at our communities in North America, for the lack of a better term, we'll term Asiatics. Just like you were saying earlier, we have a tendency of gravitating to things that cause disunity rather than trying to unite. Most of the things that our people gravitate to that cause disunity are illusions. They're not unifying on the basis of facts. They're unifying based in illusion. which is why, as active Moors in unity, we have dictionaries. We look stuff up if we don't know a word. And that's just a common custom among active Moors. There's other Moors who aren't down with that. But that's all right, because clearly they're not of the one consciousness of recognizing that the boat has left the dock, and if you're not on the boat, you're swimming. It had to be a unified thought for everybody to be on the boat before it left the dock. So the individuals that we see are pushing unity amongst our people are the most segregated people. How is it that we'll go to other communities, Asiatics, European, whatever, it doesn't even matter, and they don't have an issue of unity because they're not blinded as far as who they are historically. Even all the Khazars had a unified thought that they're Jew and we're from Israel. Right? Because remember, same thing that I just said, just like our people, concept of unity is based in illusion. People who are united don't have to rally for unity. There's only weirdos rally for unity. Because everybody who is a human being knows that your nation creates that unity. Everybody who's a human being. People who are beasts of the field, they don't have these concepts. Which is why everything that they do is based in illusion. Everything they do is based in being absent-minded of consciousness, even though they use that term to say that they're awake. So regardless of whether religious Moors, dirty Moors, active Moors, passive Moors, virtual Moors, whatever, everybody knows, as far as ones that proclaim their nationality or are going through the process or whatever, they know that the quote-unquote headwear of the Moors is the fez and turban. Right? That's unity. That's why Jwali kept it simple and told Moors, fez or turban, and that's it. You don't go nowhere else. Because the more headwear you have, the more segregation you have. How come when we look at all these so-called teachers, master teachers or whatever, everybody got all these 80, 30, 50 books that they put out. And then all these books are coming with different concepts. Because people are writing books in one frame of mind, and then they learn something and they have a different frame of mind, then they write a book then, and then they get a different frame of mind, change the name, and then they write a book then. But you look at Noble Jwali, what do they have, 3 books? And the size of those books are minuscule, but the content of them is supposed to take you to the next levels. And it's one book that he had. You go to all these other so-called religions or whatever, they got books in books. Book of this, book of that, book of over here, book of this individual, book of that individual, causing more separation than anything else, and not having a unified thought. Because the key to unity is having the same mindset. There's going to be no unity, there's no same mindset. And when we can go around to all the different people of the world and you talk to individuals who come from the same place, and you'll realize all these people have the same mindset. One, they know who they are. They're not in any type of assumptive position about who they are. They know for sure who they are. And the more we exercise as a unit, just like we say, you know, if we're going to go anywhere to learn, we're going to RVBeypublications.com. That's just what it is for certain Moors. There's other Moors that go other places, you know, that's cool. But the foundational jurisdiction for information relative to countering what the reconstructors did with regard to the history of this side of the planet, RVBey Publications, because ain't nobody telling it like how they're telling it. Everybody have their, pull out their nationality card, you got the same card, oh, okay, that's unity. Because we're talking about unified thought. The only way that there's going to be unity is if there's unified thought. Like when we look at when we decided to open the doors in Canaan land to anybody in anywhere in the world, be a member of a temple, especially if you're somewhere where there isn't one. We didn't do that for some accolades or nothing like that. We did that out of unity. Sure. So everybody could say that they know somebody. How do you do that? Oh yeah, through RVBey Publications, through Canaan Land, through, you know what I mean, these particular group of Moors that are actually presenting and exercising what should have been done for the past 80 years that hasn't been done. And it's unfortunate that people don't realize how unified it is. For example, there's Moors in Canaan land that want to do their own thing. So they decide, well, I mean, temple number 5 in Canaan land isn't the only Moor science temple. So, you know, we'll go outside of that to try to get authority from somewhere else to have a temple, a study group, or whatever in Canaan land. Unity is why all those individuals that they went to told them, why you guys just get with Kudro? Mm-hmm. Why are you talking to Moors halfway across northwest Amexem about chartering you or giving you warrant of authority or whatever when you got Kudro right over there?
True.
This unity comes from being being grounded in illusion, things that aren't real. And you only trap yourself. You know? It's like with these guys with their unity. Right? Yeah, we're gonna get all the groups to come together and then we'll take a picture in order to represent conscious community unity. But then they got the red, black, green, which is a banner on a pole like a flag, and then they got the Moroccan flag being held by two people, blocked by a black power guy. And they're going to talk about unity? You think the world doesn't know that that flag on the pole is a fraud? And it doesn't represent a nation? And if it does represent a nation, it's not over here. It's not in the Americas.
Mm.
And then the actual flag, that's the flag that should be on the pole, they have that being held by two people.
Mm.
I want to talk about staking a claim for themselves. Don't worry about what other people. You can't talk about unity and not worry about other people.
Mm.
You think when 2 million Russians or whatever decide that it's time to fight for Russia, you're not going to pay attention to them? Because, they're over there in Russia and they're building their own army and that has nothing to do with nobody else? No, that has to do with everybody else.
Mm.
And the unfortunate thing, right, is that it's Moors that let that BS pass. Because Moors are in the picture too. Letting the national flag probably drag on the ground and all that stuff while they have the banner on some pole. And nobody step up, say nothing.
Mm.
People taking pictures that they're going to be putting online that's going to go all across the world, right? Talking about the unity of the conscious community or whatever, and they have the biggest Moor hater in the picture in front of the flag that two people are holding because it's supposed to be seen. So why they let this individual take this picture standing, kneeling down, whatever, in front of the flag? That's supposed to be the national flag.
Mm. Damn.
The flag that's supposed to represent the unity, they're blocking that.
Yeah.
What type of contradiction is that sending out to the world about these crazy people in North America that refuse to be who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were? Refuse. There'll be everything else. There'll be stuff from 2,000 years ago. They're not going to be something from 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to claim that there's something from 2,000 years ago, that they're tied to that. But the thing from 600 years ago, they're not tied to that because, that's pale Arabs and that's invaders and whatever. They want to know why there's no unity. And like we say, as active people who have a constitutional consciousness, we understand the dynamics. So we do our best to help our people, but, the boat has left the dock.
Real talk, bro. For sure.
You know what I mean? It's just like with the same article that you're talking about with the sister that they suspended or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of her argument is the fact the fact that the Pope said that same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true. This is very true.
Part of her argument, right? She's coming out and saying Christians and Muslims have the same God or whatever. That's not her own stuff that she's saying. She's quoting the Pope when she says that.
Word.
And she's Asiatic. Quoting the Pope.
Yeah.
Now, if you really pay attention to what's been going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no sort of discussion like these. You know, the Pope said this and stuff like that. There was no discussion about that prior to Moors talking about the Pope putting out all these letters and stuff like that, shutting down this whole Roman Curia fraud that's been going on, him dissolving doctrine of discovery and all that stuff. It's Moors who brought that information to the minds of the people that now it's taken hold.
Mm-hmm.
It's Moors that drew attention to the Pope going and washing prisoners' feet and stuff like that. First time ever in some papal visit history that a Pope is saying, forget this Batmobile crap. You know what I mean? I'm going to drive a Fiat.
Well,
You don't need no Benzes and stuff like that around here when people suffering. You don't need those Santa Claus and Christmas when people are suffering out here.
True.
Right? What's he trying to do? Have people on a unified side. Attempting. Because it's essential that we recognize as well that when Noble Drew Ali said, we are a nation, he was talking to everybody that's Asiatic. He was talking to Moors only.
All right.
He was talking to undeclared, unconscious Moors, as well as Moors who had consciousness and declared and proclaimed and were active.
True.
Because he came to us because we needed him the most, because we were the most segregated people. Why? Not because of somebody else. Because of our own.
That is definitely true.
The biggest war that we have is this internal war that's going on right now. The biggest fight we have is this infighting that's going on right now. Why is there infighting? Because people don't want to unite. They want to stay segregated. They don't want a nationality. They want to keep being adjectives and continents, talking about have rights.
Right.
When those are signs of incompetence.
True indeed. True indeed. So let me ask you this. For those who say, oh, I don't want to be a Moor, they know, like they've heard, you know, they got this information, but they just blatantly decline to be active in it. But like, for those who are moving on this boat that has left the dock, right, if you will, like, do you see it as a good investment of energy, casting pearls to swine, basically by, you know, continuously, you know, of course we're gonna share information and teach our people, but it's like somebody who doesn't want to receive. What do you do with that? Like, you know what I mean? Their hands are closed. You can't put nothing in it because they just, like you said, they don't want it. You know, they want unity at the restaurant. They want unity in other things, but it's an aspect of national unity that, you know, some people might not really understand. You know what I'm saying? They just going. I mean, it is a thing called constitutional psychopathic inferiority, right? And it says in that definition that some people show a lifelong tendency, like, or it might be idiot, pardon me, whereas they have no understanding and more than likely never will gain any. You know what I mean? Like, we have to, active Moors, knowledgeable Moors, still do what we have to do, you know, even for them who don't want it. You know what I mean? But it comes to a point where if you see this, like, okay, y'all really don't want this, like, because I know you know better. Like, I know who you've been around, and you out here claiming things that are not nationalities. Am I supposed to waste my time about what that person may or may not want to do when you know they know better? You know what I mean? That's a conscious, active choice that they're making to play another role with this. So it's like, all right, I mean, it comes to a point where you have to draw the line. You know what I'm saying? Where you say, you know what? Though we do have the same nationality, you could be harmful because you don't have that desire for the national unity. You know, you're intentionally. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So with that, where do you draw the line and say, you know what, I don't want to be associated with that? You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what this is about. Though, you know, they might claim this or claim that. It's like, we family, but it's not in order with what the movement or our nation is supposed to be about. I mean, it would be great if people make that inward change and you know, show that. But, I mean, you got Moors claiming to be everything. And I know these certain Moors know better. Like, I know for a fact. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because I know that you know, I'd rather not be around you. I'm sorry. Like, even though we do have the same nationality, I don't want to be disunified, but you can't unite with somebody that's going a different route. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if we're traveling north together, we can be united in that travel north. You might be traveling south, though. So in that aspect, we're not unified. But if we have national unity, it doesn't matter where we're at. That national unity is always going to be paramount. That's just what it is. So for those who know better, you know, and still choose to say that they're Negro, black, or colored, I mean, me being a conscious awoke more to the knowledge that I do have. I'm not saying I have a lot, but I'm not saying I have a little. I personally don't want to unify with that. Like, because they know better. Those who don't know better,
That's
you feel
different.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Those who don't know, that's different.
Real talk.
You know what I mean?
Real talk.
The ones that know, it's really not about unifying with them. If they know better, you know.
Because you come to a point where you're just burning your energy. What? You know they know. You know they know. So the Quran, Holy Quran, the Mecca, ends off with a clause about, to you be your way and to me be mine. If we're not seeing eye to eye, it comes to a point where we're just blocking each other's view. That's just what it is. So I'm not trying to promote disunity at all, but I'm just saying, if you got dead weight, it might sink your ship. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's really it. On that note, not for nothing, I want to just quote this. This is from the book International Law, a Treatise, Volume 1 by Lasse Oppenheim and Ronald Roxburgh, page 80. It says, at certain periods of history, the principle of nationality, the principle, fam, which you was just breaking down as far as, you know, knowing who we are and not uniting off of illusion, but for the specific cause of the principle of nationality, right? So at certain periods of history, the principle of nationality and the desire for national unity, right? Not, party time unity, but national unity, gained such an influence over the hearts and minds of the individuals belonging to the same nation, but living in different, quote, states or areas, that wars break out for the cause of national unity and independence. Wars are breaking out here. And it's like the concept of national unity and independence is being taken light. Like, as far as those who know better, like, know way better. So, well, my thing is, for those who are going to, be active and move with it, like, that's what's up. Just the concept that you know what your nationality is about, you know what your national domicile means, what your ancestral estate means, all right? All we're trying to really do is live in peace. And the biggest adversaries really are those, quote, aliens and our own who support them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. So, not for nothing. And I'm going to leave it at this, and I hope and I trust that what I'm saying is not going to be perceived as trying to promote disunity. But a perfect example of what I'm talking about is Django. You know what I mean? That Django was the free man. The other Moor was, they both were Moors. One was a free man, one was a slave willingly. You know what I mean? They can't go on the same path together. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a contrast that doesn't have anything to do with skin complexion, really. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it is deeper than that. I mean, let's be honest. Moors unified with Europeans before, and everybody wasn't with it. When you talk about a treaty, that's a unity. You see the unity grip, all of these things. Like, there's principles to unify. Like, it's not just for, sitting around, taking pics and all of that. Like, that's what you call the virtual, digital wave or whatever. It's cool, but it's still other political work to be done out here. Right. And I'm just saying, on that platform of getting busy, if we don't realize that is enough, that too counts. You know what I mean? We could burn our energy in the wrong area, I think. I really think, because, like you said, you know what I'm saying? 600 years from now, what are we supposed to say? They almost had it, and then they was disunified because whatever groups and that group and this group and all of that. You know what I mean? But for Moors that active, like you said, have the same custom, same study, same knowledge base, share the same information or whatever. You know what I mean? That aspect, that's just what it is. I don't know. I don't know what else to say on that note, man, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Real talk. Now check it out. Everybody is claiming about an oppressor, and the enemy is the, quote, white man and all of this. On the national level, how we gonna bring a remedy to that? How we gonna unify on national principles if people are not understanding nationality or understanding it? Like, can you go to the United Nations with somebody who says, that they're black or they're Negro or they're colored? It's not that you don't love your people, but if you're given this information, or they're given, or they receive this information, shall I say, and take it amongst themselves to examine it, then they make it their very own, So the best thing is to give reference points, show. But what I'm saying is, once that choice is made to turn the other cheek, that's basically on them, man. And it is what it is. But as far as complaining about, we got this same common enemy and all of this here, look, this is another reference from our International Law Treaties, Volume 1, page 396. It says, quote-unquote, states that go to war know beforehand that they risk more or less their very existence, and that it may be a necessity for the victor to annex to conquer enemy territory, be it in the interest of national unity or of safety for further attacks or for other reasons. One must hope that the time will come when war will disappear entirely, but as long as war exists, subjugation also be recognized. You get what I'm saying? So as long as war exists, it will be recognized. Pardon me. With that, I yield the floor, fam.
Islam, boy. We wanted to also, just as you said, casting pearls of swine. We want to also quickly touch on chapter 26, the holy instructions of unity, because everything was laid down because Drew Ali told us that we're a nation. So all these problems were fixed when he was around. All these issues were dealt with that we're dealing with today amongst our people. They were dealt with. But because of the utter disrespect for what he brought by people who should know better, people are in a worse state than they were during Great Depression and all that type of stuff. Because keep in mind, they didn't have no Ritalin and all that stuff during Great Depression. So these people are suffering on some severe levels right now and not even seeing that they're suffering.
Sure.
Right? The gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seems good unto himself. Has He endowed thee with wisdom? Has He enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. So that's the only people that we're supposed to be getting this information to, people who are ignorant to it. People who know about this and choose to whatever, we don't need to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I take the position of use them as a beating stick. Because either they're going to come around or they're going to be a piñata. Because code of the streets is, traitors, you're not coming around here. You can play around all you want. Right. But as soon as you cross the line and you become traitorous against your own,
mm-hmm.
There's no standing with individuals on those levels. Right? Communicate it to the wise for thy own improvement. So you're supposed to connect the dots or unify with the ignorant, right, for their instruction.
Sure.
But you're also supposed to communicate the enlightened knowledge that you have, people who have more knowledge than where you're at. So you can
Sure.
better yourself. It's mandatory. It's a custom of the Moors that if a Moor realizes that they're in whatever, you call a Moor. You don't call a black guy. Why are you going to call a black guy? Why are you going to call a conscious guy if you're a Moor? Why would your reference point be a black guy? Okay.
True.
True wisdom is less presumed than folly. The wise man doubteth often, and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate, and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. Yeah, and remember, these are the same people who know already. And they're playing like they don't know. They're always casting how much they know. They could decipher this. They could decipher, 300-year-old language, but you don't know what a noun or adjective is? You tell me about some Sumerian tablet? You don't even know 8 parts of speech for the language that you have right now, but you're telling me about some language, come learn some language, and you don't even master what you have right now. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence and to pity their absurdity. Again, the same people who know the things that they're talking about, being consonants and adjectives or whatever, is absurd when we look at the demographics of the world and we see that nobody else is doing that. Only these people in North America. It's absurdity. And we have to pity them. Because to know and not do anything, either you're compromised, meaning you took a check or something like that in order to sell out your people, or you really just don't care about your people. Because there's no way that people can have there's no way people can get such slaps in the face of truth about what their identity is from all different sources, all different mediums, and not gravitate to that, but gravitate to things that aren't tangible to them. You know what I mean? Like, Kemet's not tangible to our people. Like, that's not an actuality. That's an illusion. Because if we go to Kemet right now, we're going to see some raggedy-ass pyramids that do not represent the culture that built those. What we see there right now, that they, 7 wonders of the world, and that's one of them. That's not at its peak. It became a wonder of the world because it's dead. And it's not a wonder of a world to the world. The world doesn't recognize Giza Plateau as foundation of whatever, like how conscious people talk. The world, they know that the pyramids are there. They know that, they're big and, they were magnificently built to still be around, but that's not no great wonder of nothing to the world. And trust me, we deal with people in the world. People have more honors for stuff in Sudan and Ethiopia before Egypt. Because they know place was ransacked by people who had unity. And they realized that they had one common goal, and that was to conquer the planet. and they went in their different directions, and they did what they were supposed to do under unity, under colonization. That's unity. They're not separated if they're colonizing. The people colonizing aren't on different thought patterns. The people who say that they're mercenaries, let's kill black people, they're not on no different thought pattern. All of them have the same mindset. And, you know, when we find out the truth of it, we realize that, it's because they have principles that come from their nation that they abide by, and they do not aggravate those principles from a negative perspective. They use them how they're supposed to be used to do what they have to get done.
True.
So make sure you read that Holy Instructions of Unity chapter in the Quran,
for sure,
because it's revealing some things for us on internal levels that we can do, revealing things on mental levels that we can do to maintain the unity that we've been supposed to have when he said we are a nation.
Sure.
I'll yield there for now.
True indeed. True indeed.
How's the lines looking?
Well, we have some callers on the line, but nobody has their hand up as of now. Feel free, family, to call in your questions, comments, add-ons, whatever. You know, we definitely going into the next hour. Okay. All right. So cool. Hold on. Let's get to a caller then. We have one. See what's happening. All right. Caller 803-305. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
I'm with you. Islam.
Islam,
how are you?
All right. This is James Bay from Northwest Mexico checking in. I've listened to the whole discussion, and that's been I believe you all hit it right on the head. It's like, what do you do when you know these people are rejecting knowledge from the beginning to even save yourself? I know the prophet said, I know we can help save everybody else, but save yourself. Part of the reason, I believe he probably had got the epiphany, a holy epiphany, that a lot of these people that they may be Moors, as far as the natural origin of things, but in reality, their spirit, as far as their genetic, how they've been indoctrinated, is almost like a irreversible thing. So it's kind of hard when you know what you're actually dealing with.
Right.
True.
So the problem that I can say that I have, as far as means of getting the little fiat there, I know it's basically worthless anyway. But what I noticed, like in the clergy institutions, they actually hire me as a Moor to come in and play music here and there in their particular services, and I may do that, but a lot of times whenever I go to these institutions of, I guess you say religion or churches or whatever the case it may be, which is the direct opposite of Islam, whatever the case may be, a lot of times I see they have overseers in there, like a lot of them are Masonically G'd up, as far as letting it be known, like, okay, we're here watching and make sure that the people stay asleep. So it's almost like it's an all-out war, kind of, sort of,
Right. Well, keep in mind as well that Joel, you said that anytime a Moor goes into a church, it becomes a temple.
Yeah. True, indeed.
Which goes back to the whole thing about, with the Pope and then the sisters, and all these things are one. And people looking at it as separate stuff when it's all one thing. Just a different stream, but everything's leading to the ocean.
Right. So I'm going to keep on going forward on everything. As far as the way that I look at it, the way that I've been, I guess you could say, studying and staying ready at all times. Like if people are lost out there, the little bit of people that are lost, if I'm willing to go inside of these churches and turn it into a temple, and a lot of times get into this and get into that, at the end of the day, at least I tried. And once you try, you can't keep trying to wake somebody up that don't want to be waking up. Once you done tried and you gave it your good all in all, only thing you can do is wait, and only time can see whether they're even going to wake up to tell you the truth.
Yep. They can't say that they weren't told.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you don't want that obligation on you that you didn't tell them.
Got that right.
Right.
Because we do have an obligation to let them know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And again, it comes back to that thing about, if we realize that we have a nation and we're standing up for it, that's unity as well.
Indeed.
Right.
If you stand up for illusion, then you're out to lunch. But if you actually have something real that you're standing up on, because the other thing too is our waking up our people is not the same as when we look at all these other conscious whatever, getting people inspired to know something, right?
Right.
The difference is that we are actually, this is actually something that's part of our life that we're relaying to people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not it's like for example, illusions create illusions. So
right.
So-called conscious black people will, go shoot targets and shoot Bibles and whatever like that, but they would never raise a gun to one of these highwaymen out here violating somebody's rights.
Right.
They'll pick up their phone and play games about recording stuff. All that target practice that they got, they're living an illusion. Why? Because European is who their higher power is.
Self-consciously, I believe you're right on that. Yes.
Because remember, God's the devil.
Yeah.
So when they talk about certain people are devils or whatever, they're telling you that that's their God. They're making it known who they uphold and who they're out to destroy. And I don't see conscious black guys fight anything more than nationality, especially Moorish nationality. They talk a lot of smack to European, but to actually fight, and then when we stand up for our nationality, they're thinking we're fighting for them. We're not fighting you guys. We're making sure that our political status does not fall by the wayside because of people's ignorance, thinking that this is nothing and this is some group thing or some cult of something. It's like we tell them. I like to see them go to some Buddhist or whatever and tell them that, Buddha isn't a prophet and all that.
Sure.
I like to see them go to some Hindus and say that, they don't respect Lakshmi and Vishnu and Krishna and all that stuff, and see how they deal with them. And we know for a fact that they won't do that, or they would be doing it. Only prophet they're always bashing is Noble Drew Ali. They don't go against nobody else's prophet like they go against Noble Drew Ali. And he came to them because they needed him the most. So yeah, you're right when you're talking about Noble Drew Ali having that perspective of, you know what, save yourself. Don't even waste your time trying to wake up any of these crazy people out here.
Can you hear me, fam?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
All right. The steps that I took on this end, as far as what I've been working on, I analyze and see exactly what they actually used against us as far as at an early age. And what I've been doing, I was studying our children to see how small they are as far as when the indoctrination process began. It actually is very early. So what I've been doing is looking at what the younger generation pay attention to. So that way they always say, in order for you to catch a fish, well, before you clean the fish, you got to catch the fish. And after you catch the fish, then you can clean the fish. So in that aspect, as far as with the younger generation, we know exactly what they like. You know, basically they indoctrinated through TV. So what I've been doing is making steps to kind of pull them in by finding out what their likes are as far as the music and whether they rap, whether they do poems, or whether they make films, or whatever they need to do. And what I did is I made sure that I came up with the concept more tunes, entertainment TV, as far as, you know, letting them submit their music as long as it's positive and get them in the right direction. So once I get a clink on them, then I can kind of point the way at least, you know?
Right.
So, you know, and plus I was checking out, you know, Cujo, I was checking out, it was a video that I seen with you with another brother. I think y'all did like a feature or whatnot, you know, and I thought it was pretty hot. Basically, I know that we're going to have to come together on so many levels as far as the building, the education, the whole nine, because, like, these predominantly black colleges, that's killing us off right there just by itself with saying it is a black college.
Right.
And it also goes back to the fact, like what Cujo was saying about communicating to the wise for thy own improvement and to the ignorant for their instructions. Like that also correlates back to the fact of what he said in religious controversy as far as staying in the schools and jumping through the hoops, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that right there, we definitely, at minimum, we'll have to inwardly digest certain information to even communicate it to the wise or the ignorant. Because, I mean, if you communicate something ignorant to the wise, more than likely you're going to get improved, like if they're wise, you know. And
right.
Likewise, if you communicate something to the ignorant, more than likely they'll have an improvement. And in doing that, either way, you improve yourself, you know. So, like,
right.
all of that, definitely. And we're definitely in the information age now, whereas it's just so much information at our hands, you know, and fingertips that the ignorance it wasn't an excuse in the 1900s or whatever, Gregorian calendar, 1700s, whatever, before then as well. But in this time, with all the resources that's out here now, like ignorance is just definitely no excuse for it. It's just not. It's just either it boils down to either misguidance or the will not to study. Like some people are obstinate in the fact that they're not gonna digest anything else. Like it's just not where they at with it. So you still love them the same, but I don't know. People have different tasks, you know, different tasks.
And both of y'all went in pretty good. Excuse me, my bad, brother. Tuesday, y'all went in pretty good as far as with the definitions and everything. As far as with the free men and the definition that I heard that y'all was talking about. And I believe my phone, basically whenever I get ready to say something, a lot of times they cut it off. They try to interfere with the energy or whatnot. I have a very important, very important pictures that came from one of the institutions. And when I passed it, I took a picture of it. And I guess I wanted to send it to whoever I need to send it to so y'all can definitely go in on it. And I know there's going to be a whole lot of meat that y'all can actually give the family on that.
Indeed, bro. Indeed. Well, you know how to get in contact with Canaan Moorish. You can send us an email at MHHS eyeswideopen@gmail.com or MHHS Sons of Allah @gmail.com. And definitely Canaan Moorish. Kudra, I don't know the exact one you were in Ontario.
Yeah, Canaan Guide. Canaan Guide at gmail.com.
Canaan Guide @gmail.com.
Yeah.
I got you. I'll go ahead and put that out there, and once y'all get that, I already know you know what it is. So when you see it and you dissect it, it's very short, but you're going to be able to see how they're just manipulating everything.
Cool. Uh-huh. And, of course, RVBey Publications @gmail.com, too. But if you send it to any one of those, like, we'll all have it either way. You know?
Right.
So, for sure. For sure.
That's what it is. Islam.
Man. Islam, no. Thank you for calling in. We highly appreciate that, man.
Anytime.
All right. All right. Cool. We're going to go to the next caller. Caller 267-353. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Oh, I'm with you. Islam.
Oh, Islam. Peace, brother. I
Yes, sir. It's Brother Asim
right.
Bay, Northwestern Mexham. Brother Liz, long time. Francie Cujo. Listen, man. Y'all been on point. I mean, all the shows that I would say for the last month just been. I mean, for me. It's like you guys been like stepping it up. And I just want to give out just a tremendous thank you for all the knowledge that you guys have been putting out there. Your Mother Annie E, you Cujo, you Miss. It's been helping us and our family. It's probably about a group of as you well know, you've been seeing in our family the ones who've been nationalizing, consciously coming around. It's been about a group of us, about 10 of us. And they've been having tremendous success dealing with a whole lot of legal things as a direct result of the work that all you guys been putting out, the work that Kaz had put in and everybody has been putting out, and it's been helping our family like just tremendously. But I want to say this also, as one of the solutions and what we're finding as a solution, because if you know me and you know our family, our thing is always about the children. And I read the book, Exposed of the Conquest Intent, that Taj had prefixed with a completed 8th grade public school final exam. It blew me away. And everyone should order and get that book. Everyone should order and get that book if they're concerned about their prodigy, if they're concerned about their children, if they're concerned about the growth, the education, and the teaching. All right, there's two things, education and the teaching of your children, because what we found is, I've been helping raising my grandson and then a young nephew, mine. They were sent from out east, out this way, to help nurture them. And we found out they were in public school, and we found out is that this spell that we as parents, let's understand this magic. Let's understand these spells. All right? Because this is real. Some people don't, they think it's taboo, you know, to talk about this magic and this spell. And when we're talking about what words do and how they put a spell on you, we send our children to school and we tell them to listen to your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
We give up our certain authority and we give up certain rights when we tell our children, go to school, and we know what these public schools are teaching. We know what their agenda is. And we tell the children to go to school, listen to your teacher, learn everything you need to learn. And I'm saying this to say it's been a thing that we recognize with my 10-year-old grandson, and I have a 13-year-old nephew, and I have a 13-year-old granddaughter. Well, they come home and they tell us what they've been teaching them, and then we go to correct it, you know, and they'll say, well, what the teacher said is what the teacher told us, and we don't understand. When we send them to school, we put a spell on them from the door. When we leave them, and we talking about early, now what you're talking about, what they call it, preschool and before kindergarten, Get Start. We send these children in and tell them to listen to these teachers, and we give them this certain authority in their mind. We put that spell on them to go listen to that teacher. And they go and they do what we tell them to do. And they listen to the teacher, and the teacher fill them with all this colonial stuff, all this, they put that whole spell on them. And then we come and when you listen to them and you watch them, and when you go over their homework with them, and you go on what they're doing in social studies and history class, and then you go to correct them, and well, the teacher said, and you told them to go listen to the teacher. And then now, and the point I'm getting with this magic and this spell that's on them, all right, is they want to listen to the parent also because they love and respect their parent, but now they're confused in the mind. And now the divine spirit now is, you know, nature will correct itself and always continue to correct itself, bring it back down to ground zero, to correct itself. So now the child walking around and you see the magic working on them, and they're confused, you know? And now we're talking 12 years of slavery.
Yeah.
You know, and so now when we go out ministry, talking to a brother and sister, 18, 19, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, all right, after that indoctrination, like Hitler said, give me your child from 0 to 5 and he'd be mine for life, all right? So now this is on them, and we in this here battle now, and we understand that they won't listen, they were confused, but that spell is so strong. And we got to understand, in breaking of that spell, we have a responsibility as parents, as uncles, as aunts, grandmothers, to understand what we're doing when we're talking to our children. Understand this thing for real, that the words that come out of our mouth and the things we say and how we say it is putting a spell on these children at that young age. And we have an obligation of understanding that, all right? And I always heard how, you know, every temple was supposed to have a school, but we understand definitely why now. We understand without a shadow of a doubt why now. But I just wanted to bring that energy to the show. Thank you guys. Y'all doing a great job. And we finding here with the experience with our own family now, because I'm only bringing what I know. You know, after doing a few years of experience raising our own family, and we had 8 children of our own, and we ourselves was under that spell as parents and stuff. And now with our grandchildren, and we see with all of our children, we were able, and it's been hard work to have some inroad on breaking that spell.
True indeed.
You know, and so with that understanding, I just wanted to bring that because I see that is one of the problems. And when we bring a problem, we should definitely bring a solution, and so we can understand, you know, how to better deal with the problem, or I want to say not the problem, but the situation. And that will be one of the solutions, to start very young with your own children, grandchildren, uncles and aunts and everything. Starts with the children, and correct your words. Understand these words and what these words mean and what these words do to you. You know, we was just going over 2 words the other day, and the words was assumption and presumption. And we learn never to make assumptions anymore once you know. Once you leave out of the believing phase and go into the phase of knowing, and people find out that will become like an epiphany to them when they continue to study, and they'll wake up and they say, I don't believe that stuff no more. I know who I am. You know, I know what I am, and I just love to say the phrase all the time, to lead with everybody, and that's chapter 1 of the Circle 7, the Quran. And I always tell people, it never would be a time when we were not. Never be a time when we were not. And if you really understand that, you would no longer be afraid of nothing. Because you find out about that fear. You'll never be afraid of nothing. You'll never be afraid of nothing. So I'll leave that. I yield the floor and continue, brothers. Continue. Y'all guys doing a great job.
Peace and love, Mark.
Islam. Thank you for calling in and affirming that, and you know, big peace, salutations to your family. I mean, y'all keep on the path, and again, he couldn't stress it enough. You know, I think that's really where the unity has to start, is in the home. Outside of that, I mean, it's not that there isn't outside of that, but that's where it has to start. Because, again, like, family has a lot to do with government, believe it or not. You know, and that's just what it is. Linking back with the family of nations, of course it starts with your immediate family, you know. So, and I'm saying, like the brother said, you know, nephews, fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, you know, again, you have to wisely choose where you're going to put your energy at. Because let's say you have, you know, you got younger cousins, and then you got a niece or a nephew, you know. Like, I'd much rather speak with them, because they're going to receive it much easier than trying to keep convincing somebody who already knows. Because that's more beneficial in the aspect of, you know, bringing that family unity feel than, you know, somebody who had this information 10, 15, 20 years, and they out claiming that they're Nigerian. You know what I mean? Like, and you know they know better. So it's like, all right, whatever. So in saving yourself, you have to, it's about conservation of energy. I was having this conversation earlier too, man. Putting your energy in the right places can also conserve it. You know what I mean? Like, you can burn out You know what I mean? If you keep ramming against a brick wall, like it just comes to that point where it's like, well, to you be your way and to me be mine, man. But if we on the same path, everything, we definitely going to meet up. You know, somehow we definitely going to meet up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is, man.
I like to say another thing. One of my nephews, he went to school, and it took us a little time to make that adjustment, especially understanding that black thing. But it was fairly, it wasn't that complicated. But he was in the schoolyard playing, and in this area you have what they call the Mexicans, and then you have what they call blacks. And so they were in the schoolyard playing basketball, getting ready to pick in teams. So my nephew says, one of their friends said, okay, it'll be the Mexicans against the blacks. And so my nephew said, well, then I'm not playing. And they always want him to play because he's pretty good. So he said, I'm not playing. They said, why not? He said, because I'm not black. And so they said, well, what are you? He said, I'm a Moor. They said, Moor? He said, yeah, I'm a Moor, and I'm not black. That's not what my mother called me. And so they said, well, then, if it's all right if we say call you Prince, because that's his name, Prince. So he said, yeah, it's all right that you call me Prince, because that's what my mother called me. And so they said, okay, it'd be the Mexicans against the blacks and Prince. So I thought that was, you know, kind of deep, you know. But when you start teaching your children, and your children go out on that level with the children, now they teaching all their friends. You know, and you start seeing a change, because he said now one of his friends came back and said, hey, Prince, that was pretty cool. He said that was pretty cool. So he went home and asked his mother what was a Moor. And his mother knew what a Moor was. So, you know, so it's really deep, you know. And I was really proud of him for taking that stand and standing up, you know, outside of the home, because, you know, when you teach your children and then they get in that peer pressure thing, and I hear a lot of people say now, I just use the word black because this is where the people at, and I want to say it, but, yo, stop that bullshit. Stop that. You're more. Be a Moor. Always a Moor. In all the conversations, be a Moor. Stop this bullshit. You know? So, you know, that's where that's at. Islam.
Sure. Islam, fan. Well, again, a big acknowledgement on y'all ethics, too, as far as making sure that the children got it, you know? That's a big step. As far as your personal or direct, you know, posterity is concerned, which I'm pretty sure it'll be a return on the investing of the energy of the truth being installed in the youth early, you know, that'll come back for us all later, you know. So, like, the fact that he got it now young, or she, or everybody, you know, the youth period. Well, from what you just said, it was just another affirmation that, you know, not that it's not for everybody, but the young and yet unborn and the youth, man, coming with the eyes wide open as well. So just to hear that, you know, this information is succeeding to the next generation already, you know what I mean, is a good look. Like, that's a good sound. So, again, you know, all Moors active, you know, passing it on to the family direct, those who are receptive or whatever in your cipher directly. You know, big shout out to you all as well, because that is definitely a great ethic. So, man, y'all keep doing what you're doing, bro, and keep going in, fam. You know, congratulations to you all as well. Sure.
Thank you. I'll be hearing from you soon. All right, peace and love, family.
Peace and love. Peace and love, nigga. One. All right. Cool, Joe. Before we go to the next caller, right, I just want to state this parable. I haven't heard it before until, like, last week. And this is how the parable goes, right? And the theme of this parable is unity. So, now, I'm not trying to convince anybody that there's a heaven or hell, but for the sake of this metaphor. All right, so this is how the metaphor goes. All right, so there was about, like, 12 people. They were in hell, right? And while they were in hell, they were at a dinner table. And they were at this dinner table with these really, really long spoons, right? So they couldn't feed themselves. They couldn't eat. They starved because they were sitting at this table where the spoons were too long, right? But then there was the same amount of people in heaven, right? Because all these people that was in hell, they starved because they couldn't feed themselves. It was the group that was in heaven, same amount of people, all right? Same size, spoons, really long, and everything. And they all ate. But the reason they all ate is because they fed each other opposed to feeding themselves with the length of the spoon. You feel what I'm saying? Like that concept of unity. You get what I'm saying?
That's a big one.
You know what I mean? Like it was a metaphor, and I figured kind of correlated with the concept of unity. And if people could take the metaphor opposed to thinking, you know, there's really a heaven or hell in that aspect, because we creators and you create your own. But I figured it was a lesson in that, and wanted to share that on the subject of unity. That being said, we're going to go to our next caller. Caller 719-964. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Greetings. This is Brother Bokari RVBey from northwestern Mexico.
Right, peace, Noble. Good to hear you again, bro. All right. Definitely enjoyed your Grammy speech, bro.
Yeah, you know, like
came back like a long lost cousin with a story to tell. I'm like, all right. All is well though. Good to hear from you, man. All right.
Oh my, Islam. It's you know, I can't put it in words what this show and others like it means to me. Particularly for the two people that are on it right now, you know, it makes me feel good, real good, because, you know, sometimes we go through things and you know, there's, you know, we see a lot of darkness or rather we don't see enough light. And when you have stuff like this show and other shows like it, that's the light that comes through that, you know, keeps you going. And so, like the previous caller said when he started, I would also like to say honors to you, brothers, for the show and for the work that you've been putting in, and the work that you continue to put in. And so, but I just wanted to call and say that, you know, I wanted to express my thanks for the show. It's been a long time since I called into this one. And sometimes I don't make it in. Sometimes I get disconnected, but I'm always listening, or I'm always trying to catch up on the copies and stuff. And so I just had a one quick thing that I wanted to say, and it was, you know, initially when I called in, I wanted to say something about unity, but when the previous caller called in, and he was talking about the children. It really struck a chord. It really struck a chord with me, rather, because I have a son and I have a daughter, and and you know it's difficult. And everything that the brother said made all the sense in the world to me. And also because of some of the things that I've been dealing with recently in my own life, I have made a decision that I'm not going to give as long a leash to the adults anymore. I'm going to take that long leash that I had with the adults in terms of how I was dealing with them, and I'm going to give that leash to the children, because there is truth, and you can't teach an old, dog new tricks. Sometimes there is truth to that. Not all the time, but, sometimes. And if you catch them young, you can do a whole lot more with that. So I just wanted to say that. And thanks again for the show. Honors to you, brothers. I give you all the love and respect in the world. I tell people, like if I run into people out here on the street, or as I'm moving throughout the course of the day, I tell them about this show, and I tell them about MHH Eyes Wide Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Blog Talk Radio. So I tell them about King and Land Moors, and especially the youth. So much love. I won't keep you. I won't tie up the line because I know there's probably other folks here. Islam, wholeness, respect, and love to everyone. Peace.
Peace, Moor.
Fam. Peace, Moor. Thank you, fam. Thank you. All right, definitely glad to hear from the Brooklyn again. Honestly, though, fam, as of right now, that is the last caller, fam. That's the last caller of the night. We got about 15 minutes left before the 2-hour internet feed ends. So I don't know if you want to put anything else on the table, or how you want to do that. But we actually have no questions as of now. But it is.
I just remembered that when we spoke earlier, you were also talking about taking some time to going on this New Year thing going on.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
You got the time, you might as well hit that up.
Yeah, no, for real. It kind of correlates back to where we started at with the New Year, yeah. Because you got to remember, we mentioned this last year too, but for those who may not know, that January 1st is definitely not the natural Moorish New Year, or what we consider nature's New Year. January 1st has correlations with two historical events, which they say, they correlate the celebration with the, quote, end of the Atlantic slave trade or whatever, or the slave trade, or Lincoln's Proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation, went into effect on the 1st of January, which is certain Moors were counting down to wait to be free. And Europeans, excuse me, let me not limit that scope. Yeah, let me definitely not do that, because when you think of a slave, it's not just, the context of Moors. Europeans are the original slaves. So some of them, a lot of them were in, different types of bondage, peonage, debt bondage, indenture servitudes, things of that nature. They were in different servitudes. But that correlated with the, quote, Emancipation Proclamation coming into effect, that date of January 1st has some significance. Also for the Europeans, Julius Caesar was divinized on January 1st, which again, really that's not our true celebration. You know what I mean? That's not it. Like I was saying earlier, where we started off at, misunderstandings of the culture could cause disunity. Like my friend who, her sister won't like they feel like it's different because they won't celebrate. But I'm like, well, if you all knew about the stations of the sun, which in chapter 1, Noble Drew Ali said will be a contributing factor to lead to victory. That's the analysis of it. Then it wouldn't be nothing to be in dispute about. Everybody would know, look, it's nothing odd or, Christian. This is that old time aspect of honoring nature and the stations of what's obvious, So again, here we are about to go into the winter solstice next week, and you talk about the math, 90 degrees later, or what they call 90 days later, we'll be at the vernal equinox, which is the true new year, or nature's new year for the northern hemisphere. So it's really not based off of January 1st. That's more or less in a historical context of a proclamation act, not our true new year. So, with that being said, keep the foundation in mind, that this is a divine and national movement. Knowing about and respecting the stations of the moon, the sun, and the rest of the planetary bodies, that's divinity, that's deity. Like, have to comprehend that obvious fact, right? Because even though the sun hangs at high noon, men comprehend not the light, as Noble Drew Ali did say in Religious Controversy, that even though it's hanging at high noon, so not to knock anybody's fun or belief or anything, but just understand that that's the true celebration of the Son of God, which is the visible sun, S-U-N, that's undeniably seen in the sky every day. We don't have to, worry about this mystery type of thing. Like, it's an obvious sun that shines every day. That's not a mystery God. And it's not to worship the sun, but just respect the stations of nature in that aspect. Because I know it says in the Circle 7 that the sun is not Allah, those noblest image. So the thing is, not to be, to understand that there's a higher function and power that coexists or created that to exist or manifest that. And respect to that is respect to that supreme energy, because it's an immutable law of nature. And then there's nobody on planet Earth that could change that fact. It's just the mind state or the conception of how it's perceived. So it went from recognizing the stations of the actual Son of God to it being assumed to be a man. You know what I'm saying? When that wasn't really what it was about. It was about a cosmological happening, So that's the primitive thing to keep in mind. If you stay in tune with that, again, it's another aspect to bring unity, to see that, okay, this is what, an aspect of what true religion. Like, because people say, I'm of the Jewish religion, I'm of the Muslim religion. Like, Muslim is a fetus, that's not really a religion, or due respect. But true religion is cosmology. That's a fact. That's obvious, Okay, nobody can say it doesn't mean anything. When I'm just telling you, you could say, you vegan, a vegetarian. Like, all of these depend on the stations of the moon and the sun, the relationship to the earth. So you have to respect the laws of nature in that aspect and realize that it's nothing spooky about the sun, or the moon or anything like that. These are obvious, clear signs, because some people are literally waiting, I don't know for what at this particular time and age, but they think it's a man in the sky that's the Son of God, opposed to recognizing the obvious one. And there was another story, some European dude was talking about how his father had gave up his farm, really believing that the Son of God was going to return with fire and glory, in the sky. Instead of realizing the sublime thought of what was being said, as far as the planetary body of the sun being that fire in the sky. You know what I mean? And that's just sublime logic, if you will. Matter of fact, just fundamental logic. But again, like just taking that one concept, you can see the clear correlation between true religion and dogma and belief systems and knowledge. As the brethren was saying earlier, coming out the stage of belief into knowing. Like, we don't have to believe that the sun shines every day. It's fact, indisputable. Or that the moon exists. It's a fact, indisputable. Now the thing is, what relationship does its existence have that is relative to the natural people on the planet? And that will take you right back to, for the most part, a lot of universal laws, but specifically, you know, it matters in agriculture, acre culture, which is still dealing with the land and the production thereof, and the science of the number 9, as we went in on a couple of weeks ago. That's what it is. So, again, get into the true divinity of unveiling these sublime stories. You get what I'm saying? The sublime stories, to bring it to a fundamental common understanding of how it applies on this planet Earth. You know, it's because people will look past the obvious for something so mysterious that, you know, it just doesn't make sense. Like, how could you look past, you know, the SUN and think that, oh, there's a male figure that's going to fall out the sky and wrap everybody in his arms and bring us up? That type of nonsense or whatnot. Also, you could go in more to the history of Saint Maurice, you know, as far as that correlation, or Sinterklaas, which was originally a Moor. You know, that the philanthropic side of the movement as well. You know, that's really what it is. And when I say that, don't think that, you know, the same people who codified the story, you know, don't still practice that attribute. It's one of their slogans, you know, philanthropy. So that's what I wanted to make sure was emphasized too, as far as, you know, the January 1st being the new year. Of course it is not. And the winter solstice being about the stations of the sun, and also Julius Caesar being divinized on January 1st. And pardon me, I think it was 42 BC. But yeah, do your history and math on that. You could probably Google that up. Julius Caesar, January 1st, you know what I mean, or divinized, and that should bring you back something, you know. So that being said, we definitely picked up another caller. So don't want to end without picking a call, man. But before I do, did you want to add anything on to that?
No, you're straight, Moor.
Okay. All right, cool. Caller 214-565. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Islam, Miss Ram, Islam the Cujo, too. You brothers have more. They're having another great show tonight. Islam, I listen all the time. It's been a while since I've been on here, and everything that you two brothers have said is right and exact. What our people, we have to learn and we must know, as our illustrious prophets told us, to study, and our eyes and our gland will be opened up, then we'll be able to filter in the information from the cosmos our ancestors will teach us. And we need to know here that the operate government that has been operating on the North South American continent is totally fraud, not fiction, not belief, not opinion, but total fact. In order to understand, you must understand the politics and the facts in the Western Hemisphere, and particular under the European colonial operation and occupation. The foundation of all world wars and and the world politics and the last several thousand years is the Spanish Inquisition instituted by the Pope of Rome. And the Spanish Inquisition, the Inquisition against the Moors and Yahudi. Yahudi is a proper name for the one they call Jew. Islam. It's against the Asiatics of the North Continent of North America, North of Mexico, right here where we stand. We ain't got to go there. We standing on Africa. And those who don't want to know, we are in an age of Aquarius, the age of learning. There's plenty of information out here. They can read and study, and those who know, if you have an ear to hear what has been said from the cosmos coming out of the mouth of those who done found with the foremothers and forefathers telling them by illustrious prophet. We tell them, and if they don't turn a blind ear to it, so be it. Islam, Moors, Islam.
Islam, Moor.
For sure. And that history goes in super deep. As far as the Spanish Inquisition, its relative aspect to certain branches of Christianity, and Christian states, etc., definitely directly on the Moors. So I'm going to quote this. I'm going to have one more call, but I just want to quote this real quick. This is from International Law of Rules Regulating the Intercourse of States in Peace, right? And it says, nevertheless, Austria, France, and Spain as Catholic countries, right? So, before I even go on, Austria, France, and Spain as Catholic countries. Not to knock anybody's, persuasion of what they think is their religious belief. Oh, pardon me. There's 1 minute left before the live feed ends. Family, we will have the third hour on, depending on how far we go into that. But for what you missed, do go back and download the archives. All right, so Austria, France, and Spain as Catholic countries. Not that, these are our religions, but the validity and history of the distinguishment between Moors and Christians. You know what I mean? Because even before Spain was Spain, it was Al-Andalus. Moors had that. Austria, France, Moors were everywhere. But it was an overthrow with the Catholic countries. But look how it's written. It says, so these three places, Austria, France, and Spain, as Catholic countries, have a voice in the election of the Pope, who is the temporal sovereign of the Roman states, as well as the supreme pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church. So you have to keep in mind, that you see the Pope today, he's not just you're talking politics, man. You know what I'm saying? That is wrapped up in the aspect of religion. Because it was because of these institutions why, people think, or it's been indoctrinated, shall I say, that, Yahshua is a man in the sky that's coming back to save us, opposed to recognizing the obvious truth. The truth became so sublime when it's so obvious. But, again, that was an intentional attack on the divine and national culture. That being said, we have a couple more callers left. If I'm not mistaken, hold on, caller 860-478. Is that you? Hold on. All right. It's freezing. But hold on, let's see what's happening. This is crazy. That's crazy, man. Yeah, it's connection is wilding right now. All right, hold on. Call it 860-478. You're live on the air. Are you with us? Call it 860-478. Is that you? Bro, you still there, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right. Cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next caller and come back to that caller. All right, so. All right, cool. Caller 310-478. 406, you're live on the air. Are you with us?
Islam, I am. I am Saeed Joel, calling from Northwest of Maxim. I just had a question in regards to this word that I can't seem to find in the archives. It's a word, Ms. Raheem, that you had said over the airwaves that was related to. I remember there was a caller that called in and he asked, he brought up, I guess, a situation or scenario, and the judge had made a comment like, "Oh, I'm glad that you didn't come in a certain way because a Moor had came in earlier acting a certain way." It was more like impartiality of the judge, but it was a Latin word.
Inter alios, man.
Inter alios, there it is.
Yeah.
Right, I'll go ahead and look that up. I just want to make sure I do have a record of that in my mind. So that's pretty much it as far as that word goes. Thank you very much, Ms. You guys have a wonderful night.
No problem.
Peace,
sure. Page 948 in your Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, fam. Inter alios.
Great.
It means between other persons, between those who are strangers to a matter in question. Yeah, I recall that for sure. It's a bias. That's a biased aspect of thinking in the first place, you know. So, for sure, call them on that. Inter alios, man.
All right. I just want to be ready because I know that's definitely going to come up. So I want to have that ready. Thank you very much. You guys have a great night.
Do the same as well, man. Thank you.
Peace, wow.
All right. Call us 719-964. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Yes, it's Brother Bakari again.
Oh, wow. I'm like, hold on. No, I've seen this number. All right, cool.
You know, I was, I've been thinking about something, and I've been thinking about this situation about schools. The caller before me, the first time that I called and mentioned, and I had a thought. And so I wanted to share that thought briefly with the panel and also with the masses that are listening. And you know, one of the issues that I have sometimes, like when I talk to folks who approach me on the street because they see me wearing a fez or they see me wearing crystals or what have you, and when they hear national, like when they hear the term national, like what they have been indoctrinated and thought to think of is like things like National Geographic, National Car Rental, National Weather Service, National Review, National Enquirer, and last but not least, National Football League. See, so now another thing that individuals who refer to themselves as black, Negro, colored, African American, white, European, whatever, that don't really get it and don't take the time to crack a book is that when Moors talk about the so-called the so-called corporate state or corporations that are running things, etc. And one of the interesting things that I found out is that how does a school run? Like how is a public school run? So you have these people that like to talk out the side of their neck, but they can't think, and they don't think for themselves. And then when they run into somebody who is thinking, you know, they have a difference of opinion. So here's what I do know. Public schools have a principal. That principal is an overseer, essentially. He makes sure that he or she is there to ensure that certain standards from his supervisors, such as the superintendent, are implemented as specifically for the curriculum. See, that's what the principal is there for. The principal is also there to make sure that the teachers in these public schools are teaching the curriculum the way that the superintendent has disseminated that information to the principal. Now, where does the superintendent get his or her information from? Aha, the plot thickens. The superintendent gets his information from the corporate state, a body of individuals who are running the so-called corporate state that encompasses the Department of Revenue, the Department of Motor Vehicles, all of these institutions that aren't government. So when you try to share these things with individuals, they look at you like you're crazy. And you can tell them, well, put it to the test, do some research, or you can give them some reference material, but more than likely they won't do it. Few of them will. That's why you have to focus on the youth. And I just wanted to drop that again, and I hope that makes somebody out there think, like in terms of schools and in terms of Moors that are trying to help out, etc. And I yield the floor. Islam,
indeed. But yeah. Go ahead, Cujo. My fault.
Hold on, go ahead. I was just saying Islam,
Indeed. Yeah, but like the brother was pointing out, it's a principle, for a reason. And the curriculum they have is an intentional, deliberate dumb down. This is not an accident. It's definitely not an accident, and I can vouch for this, man. I shared this story before, but this is how I know it's fact. When I was in high school and I was really, coming out of that conflict that the brother Asim was talking about earlier, as far as going to school, and then you hear something different when you come back. But when you get to like a certain age of reasoning, you start to really understand right from wrong. So, granted, like you said, you have that support around you or whatnot. So I was like, you know what? I know what they're telling me based off of the facts that I've been given, not just heard, but had a chance to see that I have to just stay in truth with this, right? And it's just, I never forget. It was a homework assignment on Islam and Christianity. And I had great help doing this assignment. And the underlying theme of this particular assignment was we showed how they are consistent, which kind of correlated with what the sister was going through, who got suspended from saying that it's like the same God type of thing. So a day or two later, after I turned the assignment in, the teacher pulled me to the side after class and straight out said, I can't give you any credit for this assignment, and I cannot take any away because this is just above our curriculum. Our curriculum won't allow me to grade this. You know what I'm saying? And right there, that also contributed to changing my life. For me, at that point, it was no longer a myth about, we've been miseducated and this, that, the third. Like, I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. You know what I mean? Like, she had to pull me aside. You know what I mean? So at that age, it was like, all right, now let's really get it. My eyes are wide open. Just made her confess that they've been playing this. And that wasn't even the intention. It just was just like that. She just was like, look, in the curriculum, this is way above. So, like, things you hear us talk about on MHHS, Eyes Wide Open, Principles of Nationality and Action, or Sons of Allah, Sister Standing on Law, or Canaan Land Moors page, like, and other active Moors, like, we really have to appreciate the value of these things because in a certain aspect, we already know for a fact that these are not going to be taught in quote-unquote public schools, which are really Catholic schools now. Basically, they're becoming private. I mean, because they have public schools now that require you to wear a uniform. So you already know that this is a privatized thing. Like when, coming up back then, the only schools that had to wear uniforms was the Roman Catholic schools, schools they had called Holy Spirit, and those was on the outskirts of town. You know, you had to pay finance to get in there and wear a uniform and things of that nature. Now you see that same practice being forced on the public. And it's like, you know, granted, everything has its pros and cons, but it's saying something more, you know what I mean, in correlation with what we already know, that these are Christian institutions. They prepare you to simply be a dependent worker, if that, you know what I mean? If they even give you that. So I say that, you know, to some people, you know, they're in a situation they don't want the child to be like antisocial or whatever, but there's different ways to go about that. I don't know. But as far as that is concerned, it is a fact that they blatantly know, these teachers who are teaching the children know that it's a curriculum and a standard that's not really set too high, which they have to teach. So the curriculum, you know, that they were saying that this assignment was above was really fundamental. You know what I'm saying? But that's just how low they lowered the curriculum or standard, you know. And back to what the brother Asim mentioned earlier about that 8th grade test available on RVBey publications. You can definitely look at that and correlate that with the standard today. And even for some of us, you know, that already has been through the public school system or whatnot, and, you know, those who graduated college, you read that 8th grade test, and you start telling yourself, like, damn, I don't know nothing. Like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no, it is. It's like, this is what they was learning in the 8th grade, though, you know, in the 8th grade. And you see and you see some of these European children, you know, I'm not taking nothing away from them, but they're speaking in structured sentences by 3, 4, if not earlier than that, because they know they're using the science of etymology spells. So you look like, well, how is it that this child is this young, same age as this child, but they're speaking, you know, words in full sentences and responding different ways because they have another curriculum, you know what I'm saying, that they make sure they get when they come home or whatnot. And I can't say that goes for every single one of them, but those that know that, you know what I mean? And it's never, again, it's never too early to start teaching, but just certain things are through energy. Like, in the first place, again, it's undeniable to be taught is in the womb, which is, again, when you speak of nationality and birthrights, you can't consider the part that the womb plays in being born or birthed on this earth. So that energy was magnetized to that, you know what I mean? All of this. And just something as simple as that statement, they're not going to teach that in school. They're not going to teach in school that the kindergarten, the public school anyway, so-called public school, which is, again, like we just emphasized, private, you know, they're not going to teach the child that, you know, the true kindergarten or the garden of children is the mother's womb. They're not teaching that. You know what I mean? We were well past the age of majority. You know I was when I even thought to look at, you know, the etymology of a word or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we don't pass that on, Moors who know, and that was definitely a big emphasis. You know, whoever it is, even if you don't have children, you got nieces, nephews, younger cousins, whatever, give it to them. And if you listen to them, sometimes they'll be giving it to you. And you be like, what you know about that? You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. But that high basic level of intelligence, you know, even though it's basic, it's high because, as has been emphasized, common sense is the highest science known to men, right? So they have a curriculum that's below utilizing your common sense. What you think the outcome of that is going to be. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we didn't even fathom to think that common sense was the highest science. Like, it made so much sense to me when I heard it. I'm like, damn, yeah, because you can't do nothing without it. You know what I mean? You can't calculate the movements of planetary bodies without common sense. It's just not going. You have to have it. It's foundational. So,
you know what? I'd like to quickly add something to that. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I want to just add two things. Number one, that's why today, most of us think that only scientists are supposed to know what the hell geometry is. Because most people walking around here today, can't roll with that. I'm one of them. I have major issues with geometry. So the next thing is that I remember when I was in like second grade, third grade, and teachers were, and I know this sounds so cliche, but it's true because it happened to me. I remember actually being told when, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a scientist. Oh, no, I think you just need to worry about working with your hands. And lo and behold, from grade school to high school, I always had one of the highest reading levels. And I didn't spend a whole lot of time in school, from junior high school to, high school. And another thing that people can test themselves if they think that we're blowing smoke, throughout my life, I've run into people who come from, so-called other countries, which are actually in some cases not like so-called Guyana or so-called Puerto Rico, which is Boricua, the Atlantis Islands. And 90% of them will tell you that, at least in my personal experience, I would use that based on my own personal experience, that when they get over here, they're like a grade to 2 grades, sometimes 3 grades ahead of their peers in age, because it's intentional to dumb you down. It is no mistake that so many people in my life that I've run into, not to mention my brothers and sisters, who came over here, all of my brothers and sisters, and I'm the youngest of 6, when they went to school, all of them were ahead by like at least 2 grades, and that is the truth. And so I just wanted to drop that, bruh. Great show again. I won't take up any more time. Salam. I yield the floor.
Peace, man. Thank you.
Salam, man. Thank you. Right. That being said, hold on, my fault. I'm gonna give caller 860. Hopefully he's still with us. Hold on. All right. Caller 860-478. You're live on the air. Are you with us? Caller 860. All right. And that's what that is, man. Cool. So with that being said, Brother Cool Joe, I would say that we have no more callers, and we can go ahead and conclude the show unless there's something else you want to add on, bro.
No, I think we did what we were supposed to do tonight. A little bit more, I think.
For sure. All right, hold on. So we got a couple. Hold on, am I tweaking? No. Yeah, no, we have a couple more callers. Oh, all right, hold on. Yeah. All right, caller 901-626. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Islam, bro. How y'all doing?
Everything's peaceful, man.
It's Mario LBey.
Islam,
all right. How are you?
Islam, bro. Man, I'm good, man. I was just calling to let y'all know, man, before y'all check out, man, y'all doing a wonderful job, man. I didn't really want anything. I just been listening to the whole show, man, getting very motivated. So y'all brothers, keep it up.
Thank you, bro.
We will, Moor. Thank you.
Sure.
No doubt, man. Peace.
Peace and love, Noble. Thank you for tuning in with that.
No doubt. Have a wonderful night. Peace.
All right, you too. Right. Caller 310-406. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Islam, I am. This is me again. I wanted to ask. You mentioned that Julius Caesar was how did you put it? Divinin?
divinized, yeah.
Divinized, okay. So he was divinized. Was that, you said it was January 1st, right? Would that be the same year the Congress adjourned, 1861, when Abraham Lincoln, I guess, when was it? He reconvened, well, so-called reconvened Congress. Is that the same year that Caesar, or when Roman laws were beginning to be put in place? What year?
Not really. You're talking about the Roman calendar, but when you're talking about Julius Caesar, you're talking about 46 BC, 45. I'm talking that time frame, like BC, because yeah, right. They used our math. Don't get it wrong. They used the same mathematics, but just, shifted the dates of different celebrations in the beginning of the calendar, So instead of it calculating from March, it was back to January when different things happened.
If you put it that way, yeah.
So the Julian calendar.
My bad, go ahead.
No, what I was saying is the Julian calendar and what happened with Julius Caesar. Because you got to remember, the Gregorian calendar is basically a play off the Julian calendar, but they're both a play off of Moorish calendars. You have to understand that. So it's no different than, them saying that America, they're going to take this portion of America, and now it's Nevada, you know what I'm saying? Or now it's the state of whatever. Well, the land was already there. They just put a different name on it. You get what I'm saying? So with the Julian calendar, that marked them, controlling the calendars and time frames and timetables with that. But what I was getting at is the significance of the so-called New Year correlating with that celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation or whatnot. They're going into effect, and the quote-unquote end of the quote-unquote slave trade. That's what was like the significance of it, opposed to it being the new year. You get what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
New Year does not start in the winter, so that's like what is it? A season behind or a season too early. So, yeah, March definitely. Aries does mark that beginning. So, yeah, my confusion was I figured you were speaking of the Julius Caesar reign, or I forgot how the word goes, but I figured you were speaking of when the Congress had adjourned, but no, I guess you're talking way before then. So I just wanted to clear that up. That's all. Well,
yeah.
Thank you very much.
No, it's all good. It is all good.
Appreciate it. I yield the floor.
All right.
You guys have a good night.
All right, Moor.
Peace and love, one.
Peace.
All right. Cool. 510-334. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Islam. This is Anthony Alishenko Bey. I'm enjoying the show. Peace. Peace. I wanted to share a little bit. I listened to Abdullah Bey talk about Zodiac, and you were talking about earlier the stars and what an important time of year, even now, and correlate that to the scriptures of Job, how he was sharing, or it was shared on this particular video, that the number 52, if we add that number 52 to our lunar or moon sign, that and correlate that with the book of Job, and based on the day that your particular sun lunar sign lands on, if you read particular scriptures in look up every word in the book of Job, it like springs to life, and it's a really worthwhile video to watch on there, because the way that the stars are lining up right now has a 7-year impact. Meaning whatever we're studying right at this particular time period will have a 7-year impact. So, and it was suggested that we should be actually studying the Constitution, in particular the Bill of Rights, particular cycle. But somehow link that with what you were saying, that true religion is the study of the planets and the stars, the sun and the moon, and that was right on what you said earlier about the sun being Christ, and it's right there in your face, and I want to thank you very much for that too.
No problem. Yeah. No problem. That's what we're here for, man. For sure. Now, you was mentioning the video. Can you repeat what that video is for people who may not have heard it the first time?
Sure. It's Zodakaias. It has the zodiac and Zodakaias. It's Abdullah had a guest, and that was her name, Zodakaias L, and she did a class on that.
Gotcha.
I told actually a coworker that I've been talking to. I shared that video with him. He is a Christian, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he became awakened by that, and he knows he's a Moor. And I told him to go to RVBey Publications, and he's been reading there, and he wants to get the nationality aspects rolling. But that's just a tool I wanted to put out there that's effective for people that are in the church mindset to break that spell. It seems to work. And it's working for me, too. I just wanted to show the cell.
Indeed. Cool indeed, man. That's what it is, bro. So, yeah, that's what it is, getting back to that true religion, among other things. But, bro, we highly appreciate your call. Was it anything else you wanted to ask or add on?
No more.
All right.
I'm good.
Peace and love, Lord. Thank you much.
Just that I've been enjoying the show.
Say that again?
I've just been enjoying the show. I've been listening from the whole time. Great show. Great class, rather.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, and we thank you all for listening, too.
You're welcome.
All right. My fault, Cool Joe. Was you saying something, bro?
No, just saying thank you to the brother for calling in.
Word, for sure. For sure. And, all right, we're going to go to our next caller. Caller 585-410. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Yes. This is Naeem Azrael. I don't have anything major to say, but I just wanted to say thank you for the show. And, yeah, I know it's getting late. Everybody's starting to sound all tired. Yeah. I was hearing some of what the guy was saying, but I just wanted to say one thing, though. I don't know how much people watch YouTube, but there's a guy, Santos Bonacci, and he does a lot of I watched a lot of his videos where he correlates so much of the Bible stories. Like he says, every story in the Bible it goes right back to astrology, and he breaks down. Like, I mean, I can watch those videos like forever. So a lot of times when I go to people in the church, I always put his videos like, here, go watch this, go watch this. But anyways, he's really good. Santos Bonacci is his name. But I just wanted to say thank you. And, that's it.
Sure. Thank you, sis, for calling in and listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Always.
For sure.
Nice.
Sure. All right, then. Peace and love, sis. Thank you. All right?
You're welcome.
All right. So, bro, that's definitely our last call as of now. Definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in, calling in, listening, adding on. Highly appreciate that. MHHS, Eyes Wide Open, Principles of Nationality and Action, MHHS, Sons of Allah, MHHS, Sister Standing on Law, Canaan Moors. But hold on, I might be mistaken, and I'll wait for an affirmation, but I'm not sure. I think that the Sister Standing on Law this week might be postponed. Okay, it's going to be the following Sunday, not this Sunday, the following Sunday, which, hold on, let me get you the right date, which will be December 27th, the last week of this Gregorian year, you know, that Sunday, 27th, December 27th, that'll be the Sister Standing on Law. So, you know, we'll be right back Tuesday. Cujo, we're doing a Ustream online this Tuesday. Please, you know, again, like we said, got to appreciate the information that's being given up. And it's only some places you're going to get it. So please tune into that. If you know, you know. And right after that, we'll be back this Tuesday coming up, we quote the correct date of December 22nd. We will be having our regular Tuesday class at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, Principles of Nationality in Action. And we'll keep you posted on everything else from there, from that point. But again, we want to thank you all for tuning in and adding on. And Brother Cujo, thank you, you know, as well for contributing the energy and the information that you bring to the table, especially to do this broadcast. I highly appreciate that. And big thanks. Keep doing what you are doing. And stay focused, bro.
You too, Moor. You too.
Most certainly, fam. Most certainly. And again, we will see you off next Tuesday. You know, whatever stuck out to you this class, please go ahead and share it with others. And we definitely will be right back. So that being said, bro, anything else you want to say before we yield the floor?
Well, just shout out to everybody listening. Soon, real soon, we got the Best of Iron Sheik mix CD coming out. We got Audio Mechanics coming out. We're probably down to maybe halfway through the second disc of the Canaan Land Moors compilation, getting that mixed and mastered, and Iron Sheik 6 coming soon to willofallaw.com. So stay tuned to the site, and keep in mind that if you have a nationality, we're already united. And I'll close on that.
For sure. Got them rhymes, them bars coming. We need those. And we definitely got some more things coming. We definitely got some more things coming. So in the meantime, stay tuned. Canaan Land Moors, RVBey Publications, and all those who are doing their best to communicate truth. Big thanks to everybody. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out, family. Y'all have a great night and a better tomorrow. All right. Islam.
Islam to all the Moors.
One.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotext that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them gods don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bites back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then maybe, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, love a tour, Marcus Garvey your ass. No, but you are leading, God body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman was the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov counter burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof so you can that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, oh you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Doggone inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so don't believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor, and that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or more or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing now. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire calls are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. And I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.
King Boom.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it.
Dirty Moors still attempt to infiltrate the order. Active Moors are truth and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on dirty Moors like broken dam waters. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to their heads with the doctor's cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues, contradicting with King Alfred to give clues like news. Noble Drew Ali died from Palemore blues. Prophet saved him his money before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, still memory tells me don't fall for spook. Drop mental nukes, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree, looking up at them like Big B. No white flag or mercy for you fags. 5-point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That dirty Moors took to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books, getting offers like high school ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers, robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it.
Me nah play with uno so simmer and easy. From 19 how long, me see it's sleazy. So sick, it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Drew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect him and have his back. Behind on dues by 4 months. Going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples. Lawsuits from inner fights. Not doing their job, 3,500 for birthright. Mufti Force left supposed to be in Gucci stores with God. Thank Allah for the Sufi Moors and Buddhist Nagas. Moorish mic renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer, empty battle scar wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways, rap conduct squarer.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it.
Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death preparer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin, going crazy, waving gas. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kick me sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MCs flow so dull that I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps to torture the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Pac will, but beat the case like Black Bill, but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liar, liar, do nothing for you while they get rich and pour you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke to snort from wood corners and block ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repedo, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not Bay but L like Gred and Hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands. With birthright brands, I don't worry about getting scanned.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what you are made and started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know
Brothers killing brothers, sisters dissing each other. Children age, split siblings now missing each other. From secret societies you removed all the covers. Abused cause some choose to be ID'd by color. Negro and black or claim a fiction on the map. Power is wasted on the idol god crap. Nuisance solutions, following illusions. We are old world orders but we scared of new ones. Some stuck on stupid and being humans. Some hoping Cupid will try and lure a new man. It will never be him, only you can. Find the one's nose that won't go like Pinocchio or Toucan. Once you think you can't, you probably won't. Might as well be hanging on a Klansman rope. Might as well jump in the coffin to get shipped up north to Canaan land, hoping someone opened the casket doors. As soon as it opened, they got a cross in your face between two slices of bread, pig marrow paste, sugar down, purple stuff, limbs hurt enough. Not free from slavery, but you doing dirt for hurting cuffs.
For the record, we're in the club. We're all brothers and sisters. So we're in the club. Well, we're all members of Moorish Temple. We got this going on. And no, that's not what this movement is about. This is a national movement. The nation is out there. The only reason you're here is your job is to go redeem them.
We're branded with needles and ink, not hot metals. They call us blacks like bottom of pots and kettles. Won't and don't change the game cause we think the same. Plus we don't ever put RVBey on our names. So they assume a jurisdiction, you're retreating. Got inherited land from deeds, that's S cheating. Lower self needs, overweigh higher self wants. Lower thinking, speeds up the color of taunts. My tone is the color of blunt. Some say cold, some say we have no rights. I say we're out of the fold, which constitutes no protections in Bill of Rights sections. Blacks not people, no right to carry weapons. Crooked cops are bonded for public hazards. Use confusion techniques, keep the republic scattered. Pushing demonocracy under FEMA property. Right knowledge is the youth's food, feed them properly. It's gotta be done for them, not for yourself. Stop stockpiling books you read on your shelf. You want the dead to wake up, but you put a price on info that she can't afford unless she works on a strip pole.
This was supposed to be resolved generations ago. But no one challenged the sellouts. They just talked about them. You get the point? Didn't mean they didn't have their effect. So if you know the truth about your nationality and birthright, you also know the truth about his. You see? So if you know yourself, you can know others.